We're going to interrupt the comments from members of Congress, and although we wait with bated breath for their thoughts, to listen to one of our other speakers. We're going to hear some remarks by Nikki Sixx, bassist and the principal songwriter for the heavy metal band Motley Crue. Nikki.
How you guys doing? This is different for me. I made myself some notes here since I'm not much of a speaker. I've stood in front of 350,000 people before, and I've had a lot of success in my life, but this is a real proud moment for me, being a recovering alcoholic and addict. I would like to thank NAADAC and SAMHSA for inviting me here today. I think it's amazing. Let me see. What do I want to talk about here? Well, first of all, I made a note to myself that I don't know if any of you saw that USA Today had reported in September of '06 that drugs and alcohol now affect 1 in 5 Americans. And, you know, that to me is staggering. My experience as a recovering addict, it just doesn't affect just the addict. It affects the family, the extended family, the workplace, and even our economy. And, you know, it affects and infects the lack of productivity, too, as well. You know, in the entertainment business, I see it a lot, but I also see it in business, and I'm sure that it's everywhere, you know, including government. I'm seeing people here that are talking about recovery. I think that's it's just amazing to see that. It's not this thing that everybody wants to hide from anymore. And even in a case like myself, where I'm a musician, and it's been sort of accepted to be alcohol and drug related, for me to stand up here and say I don't do drugs, I don't drink, and I still play rock and roll, and I still do a lot of creative things. And when I was growing up, the people that I looked up to were musicians, poets, the Outlaws, and they looked very much like myself. A lot of the bands that I emulated myself from. And I took it into selling 45 million albums, touring the world, and woke up one day and I was a heroin addict. And through recovery, you know, I believe that, you know, maybe there's just going to be this little thing that happens where some kid is going to be looking up and he's going to see me and he's going to say, wow, that guy's rock and roll and he plays music and, you know, maybe kind of looks cool still. And I'd rather be like him than the guy in the coffin. I'd rather be like him. And it takes everybody working together to keep the message going from different levels. You know, I got one of the pamphlets, or not even a pamphlet, the thing from the press conference, and it's this fat, and it's got all the statistics in it. And I have a 16-year-old son, and I tell you, I couldn't pay him to read that thing. And that's, you know, part of my job here, part of what I'm of service for, is because maybe they can listen to an album that I just did on recovery, or a book that I just wrote on recovery and sharing my experience. Maybe I can reach some of them while you're reaching some of them, and we all work together and we can really make a difference. The other thing I wanted to address is, for me as an addict, one of the first things I heard was, you know, why don't you get it together? And what's your problem? And why can't you just stop? And things like, you know, don't you have any willpower? You know, I have a disease. It's no different than cancer or anything else. And I need treatment for that disease, and I took treatment for that disease, and I work daily on that. And part of that is something that I think is overlooked sometimes in addicts. It's really easy to, you know, look at the junkie on the street and say, you know, guy's just a junkie. But if he has treatment, I was a junkie. If he has treatment, a lot of my friends are junkies and alcoholics, and they're sober now, and they're doing a lot of good stuff. So getting treatment for people and supporting a way to get treatment for people, I think, is really important. And the other part of it is that I have experienced that it was just the addiction, because once the addiction was sort of contained or controlled, there was a big hole in my stomach. For whatever reasons, my story is different than a lot of other addicts, but I had abandonment issues with my family. My mother left when I was 3, my father when I was 6. I was homeless when I was 13. And, you know, I had a dream to become a rock star, and sometimes they say, be careful what you wish for. And I got it, and I toured the world, but I did. I woke up a drug addict. And so now I'm able to take that experience and share it with people. But the therapy part, I think, is really important, because we get treatment, and then if it's not treated continuously, whether you use the programs that are out there, like 12-step programs, actually using therapy, I think it's an important part to look at. When I heard at the press conference today the issues about painkillers, and the first thing I thought in my mind was, what's the pain that we're killing? You know, you take the painkiller away, you still got the pain. So it's something I think that's important to look at as well. And I know I'm going to get that thing that says time, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. Okay, I want to share a little bit of the success part for me, because I think it's important. I mean, I could sit here all day long and gross you guys out and stuff that I did. And, you know, if you want to get grossed out, you can get my book. But there's a lot of success in that book as well, and part of it is that, you know, by getting sober, you know, I've forgiven my family for what happened, and that was a big part of my recovery. I'm a single father of 4 that went through a divorce in recovery, and I didn't act like a jackass. You know, I was able to be honorable and not give my kids the same information I got. I'm a photographer, I have a clothing company, I'm a songwriter, I'm a producer, I'm an author, and I have 2 bands, Motley, Crue, and a new band called 6 a.m. So if being sober means you can't rock, I think that's wrong. You know, you can do a lot of cool stuff in sobriety. And I swear I'll read this really fast. You know, we're all here to celebrate recovery. It's not just about, you know, our individual recovery. It's about the individuals and the families, and that the legacy of recovery is so important. If we don't focus on it, the legacy is going to be an addiction. And I think that, you know, we know where that ends. It spirals into emotional bankruptcy, financial bankruptcy, insanity, and death. So I think we're all doing the right thing here today, and this month is a very proud month for a lot of us, and thank you for having me come here very much.
Because Nikki has shared his heart with us and his recovery story in a venue he has never done that before, we're sharing our heart with him, and this is from all of us to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.